Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new Eastern Alliance Era 2 Premium Medium tank, the T-55AM2B, which is level 100 in the brand new Overlord Season Pass. So if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the AM2B, it is level 100 in the Season Pass, so if you pay 2,000 gold, you'll be able to get this at the end of the Season Pass, and it's essentially for free. And the reason I say essentially for free is because, well, you're still paying 2,000 gold for it, but you do get 2,000 gold back as you progress through the Season Pass and get a little bit extra from chests and stuff like that. Which if you're going to be playing enough to complete the Season Pass, it's always worth picking up the Season Pass. Just for that fact that once you've bought it once, you don't really ever have to put gold back in again. But yeah, the T-55AM2B. It is a pretty solid level 100 Season Pass tank. It's fully capable of doing very well. The gun can be quite nice, although occasionally it likes to derp the APFSDS rounds, which can be a bit frustrating. But the ATGMs are very, very nice. The gun handling in general, in terms of the accuracy during movement and rotation, is fantastic. It means you don't really have to run the gun stabilizer, and you can get the mobility to be pretty good on this vehicle as well. In terms of the armor for this vehicle, it works very, very similar to the T-55AM Merida, which is the tech tree version of this vehicle. And yeah, it's very similar to that. And occasionally ATGMs will just get absorbed by this plenty of space armor plastered all over this T-55, but it's not something you want to truly rely on, because most of the time people will just be able to go through it anyway, which can be a bit frustrating. But generally the armor is okay, not great. It's one of those where occasionally you'll get some good bounces, ATGMs will hit you, won't do anything, but also a lot of the time they'll also go straight through you. It's one of those frustrating ones where you can't rely on it. But also the gun handling is pretty good, DPM's okay, the ATGMs on this tank are very good, and on the whole it's just a fairly well-balanced tank, to be fair, in Era 2, and it's quite nice because weasels can't pen the front of it very easily, which is great. But there we go. So, let's get into the statistics of the T-55AM2B. So you've got a 55.5 km/h top speed, a 20.9 km/h reverse speed, 620 horsepower engine, which is 14.98 horsepower per ton ratio, which means you get up to that top speed pretty damn easily, and it's fantastic reverse speed as well. You don't really struggle to get up to that top speed with this, and your ground resistances are fantastic. They don't hold the tank back whatsoever, like most vehicles in Cold War, so you don't have to worry about that either. So you will hit that 55 km/h top speed. If you're on the traction system and the powertrain, you'll get up to that 64 km/h as well, or around about that area as well, which is pretty good for the T-55AM2B. You've got 12% internal fire chance, which is on the low end of fire chances, and generally I haven't really been set on fire in this thing yet, so that's alright. 48 degrees a second on the hull rotation. It means that this tank turns very fast on its tracks, which is very nice for the AM2B, makes it feel extremely manoeuvrable. But you do have 36 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed, which is a lot slower than the hull, so it might be one thing that you want to help out with rapid aim to make sure that this turret can get up towards somewhere close to the hull traverse. You've got 505 metres of view range, which is pretty decent. Your camo, well, your camo's MBT levels, it's not too good, but you're going to be spotted a lot of the time anyway. 36 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed, like I say, is slower than the tracks. 0.81 accuracy during rotation at base is pretty decent, and a 0.93 accuracy during movement is also fantastic, without anything in this tank helping it, which means as soon as we put on steady aim, run and gun, we don't need to worry about running the gun stabilizer. We can focus on other stuff in general for the T-55AM2B, which is great. The gun handling in terms of how big the aim circle blooms out on this vehicle is fantastic. 0.28 accuracy at 100 meters as well is fantastic. It should be pretty damn accurate. And a 2-second aim time means that the gun aims in pretty quickly, and you'll get that down to about 1.8 or 1.9 seconds of aim time as well, which is very nice on this 100mm gun for the T-55AM2B. We've got 5 degrees of gun depression on this tank though, which is limiting, as with all 5 degrees of gun depression and as with all the Soviet-esque vehicles, that, yeah, you're going to struggle on ridge lines. You've got to pick and choose your positions to be able to get your gun down on target and smash the enemy. You've got a 7.5 second reload, which is 3.5k DPM. I think I get that up to about 4.8k DPM with the build that I run, which is okay. There's a few tanks that are getting a little bit higher, but 4.8k DPM is nothing to sniff at in Era 2, which is great for it. You got 389mm of penetration on the standard APFSDS rounds, 500mm of penetration on the premium APFSDS rounds, and 850 penetration on the standard ATGM. And that ATGM does 980 damage, as opposed to your standard 440 alpha that you have on this AM2B. So your standard alpha on the APFSDS is a little bit low, but you do have pretty decent DPM, so that's okay. And then your ATGM is actually worth loading in this thing because it does double the damage, and the reload isn't too bad for it either. It's about it's about 13 or 14 seconds, something like that. And yeah, you'll probably do more damage generally firing the APF SDS round more consistently, but the ATGM hits hard at 980, and also you have that higher module damage. As you can see, you've got 490 module damage on this ATGM, which means it can be useful for firing opening salvos and getting possible ammo racks, setting people on fire, all that good stuff. And as you can note as well, when you load the premium APF SDS, for some reason the module damage is a lot higher than the standard, which is odd, but there you go. You got 1430 meters a second shell velocity on the standard APF SDS, with 1400 meters a second shell velocity on the premium APF SDS, 308 meters a second shell velocity on the ATGM, which has a 100 meter minimum arming distance. So yeah, your standard APF SDS round is pretty good with its shell velocity, and your premium is ever so slightly slower, but just not that noticeably, to be fair. And you've got 160% silver earn rate as well, which means this tank will be pretty decent at making silver in the T-55AM2B, which is nice to have out of a season pass. Again, means you'll have a pretty decent silver earner for your silver grinds. So let's have a quick look at the armour. Like I say, this tank is one of those that if you're shooting against it, you want to shoot the lower plate, because that will be the spot that you can pen. But as you can see, it is plastered in spaced armour. So it's one of those that ATGMs, Hesh, heat rounds will end up having bad times against. ATGMs will still go through, though, because of the amount of spots like here, like there, like the lower plate, like the turret front here avoiding the spaced armour. They will go through these sections. So it's one of those that, like I say, you don't really want to rely on it, and especially if they've got the super high pen, maybe like your own ATGMs, they could even go through the upper plate. But it's one of those that, I kind of wish we had an interactive armour viewer so I could show you the exact penetration you need for certain sections, but there we go, I can't. But yeah, trust me, trust me, bro. The ATGMs generally will go through it. It's just occasionally if you're angled like this and they hit the upper plate, they'll get absorbed and all sorts like that, and you'll have some funky absorptions and stuff, which can be quite nice for the AM2B. And that's where the modules sit in this vehicle in terms of the engine bays. So if you get shot in the back end, engine bay will get likely damaged. I have engine damage by being shot through the lower plate on the left-hand side, so that's something to be careful of as well. Plus, I haven't really been set on fire on this vehicle, which can be quite good for it. And that's where the ammo racks sit in the T-55AM2B. As you can see, ammo rack in this front, ammo rack in the back of the turret, and in the side. So again, it's one of those that if you get shot through the drive wheel and tracked and penned, likelihood is you're going to get ammo racked. If you get shot through this drive wheel, there's still a chance you'll get ammo racked, but not quite as high as if you get shot through this one. So be careful of that. And that's where the crews sit in the T-55AM2B. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment? Well, Charlie's been carrying us to the victories. Good old Charlie the Unicorn. Let's go stick him in the T-55AM2B. And oh, look at that guy. Anyway, he's seen some stuff, man. So, in terms of the crew, we run Ball Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Armour Angling, Deadeye, Rapid Aim, Run and Gun, Steady Aim, Supply Conservation. Bit of a wacky crew, to be fair. Run Supply Conservation to get my food back quicker, and it's quite nice to be able to do so. The Steady Aim and Run and Gun just to help make the accuracy during movement and rotation that little bit lower, as Steady Aim does affect it too, and generally make the accuracy on the tank better, and that way we don't ever have to focus on taking snapshot, and we don't have to take the gun stabilizer as well. We can focus on other things. Rapid Aim to make the turret traverse better, because the turret traverse is so much worse than the tracks. The Deadeye for the memes, so I can increase my chance of doing module damage with my APFS DS rounds, because they technically count as APCR mechanically, so they do work for Deadeye, as people do ask quite often with that. And Armour Angling to reduce the damage coming into the tank by 5%. Again, just reducing the damage coming in is quite nice, especially when you're getting autocannon and stuff like that. When they're hitting you for 8, they're possibly hitting you for 5 or 6, stuff like that. It's just nice to be able to reduce the amount of damage coming in. Plenty of ways you could set up the tank. You could get rid of Deadeye for clutch braking to help the track traverse if you wanted to, but the track traverse is already fantastic. You don't really need to do that. You could run track mechanic to get the tracks back on quicker. You could run general mechanic if you wanted to try and get gun back and stuff like that if they do knock those things out. You could run situational awareness even to buff your view range up. not so that you can spot people and shoot them, because you can use trove vision, but so that you can spot people at further ranges, and if you do spot them at further ranges, you could also get some juicy assistance damage for that as well, which could be quite good. But there's plenty of ways to set up the crew. It's down to you and how you want to play the tank realistically. And in terms of equipment, like I say, I do run the food because it really helps everything about the tank. The advanced loader to get the best out of the DPM, the traction system, and the powertrain. Now, we're on the traction system and powertrain to get the extra speed out of this vehicle, because it's nice to have that extra mobility here in Era 2. You could quite easily drop the powertrain if you wanted to, and decide to go that little bit slower, and run advanced armour alongside the armour angling, so reducing the amount of damage coming into the tank by 10%, which could be very, very useful for the tank, for sure, for reducing the amount of hit points that you're taking, or losing, I should say, and then, you know, you might be able to get 1 or 2 more shots off as you go. You can also drop it for vents, and the reason I say vents is so you can, again, make everything about the tank generally better, but also buff up that DPM that little bit extra in this vehicle so that you can fight back and have very good DPM. It's down to you and how you want to play the vehicle. I just like making it faster and having that slightly better DPM. So let's get into the statistics of the old vehicle. Now we've got it fully kitted out. And as you can see, we've got a 64 km/h top speed, 24 km/h reverse speed, 651 horsepower engine, which is 15.73 horsepower per ton ratio. Because we're running the powertrain, our horsepower per ton ratio has ended up getting better because we've got better engine power, and that will help us get to our top speed even more. And our top speed has gone up to 64 because we've helped it with both the traction system and the powertrain, which is lovely. And we're getting that extra 4 km an hour reverse speed as well, which is glorious. Ground resistances have got a little bit better because we've helped them out, but once again, they didn't really affect the tank anyway. 52.8 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed is pretty quick, and that's because we've made it even faster with the traction system. 548 metres of view range is pretty decent for spotting for ourselves in this AM2B. The 43.79 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed now has got a lot quicker, but it's still a lot slower than the hull, so be careful of that when you're trying to aim at a target on the left and you're turning your tank to the right, as the turret will snap away. You've got 0.64 accuracy during rotation, which is great, paired with a great accuracy of 0.77 during movement. That means that your aim circle doesn't really bloom out much, and you have a 1.84 second aim time, so you actually aim in super quickly as well with the little bit that it does, which means this tank can snap shots like a boss, which is great. Although, unfortunately, like I say, RNG is a thing, and it does like taking your shells and making them hit the floor at times. You sit there going, but why? You know, one of those, but hey-ho. We're up to a 5.4 second reload, which is 4.8k DPM, which, like I say, is pretty decent for Era 2, and especially since we have a usable ATGM as well, that can be quite nice to have that slightly faster reload. As like I say, it's about 12, 13, 14 seconds, in and about that region for the ATGM, depending on whether you boost for food and stuff like that, and that can be quite good as well for Mr. AM2B. But like I say, in terms of the statistics and that, you get it down to a very good level. Now, the one thing that people have been asking about when we were streaming was, what's it like compared to the T-62M1? Because the T-62M1 is a premium tank that, you know, you look at it and you go, it's fairly similar in the way it looks, and you'd imagine it's fairly similar in the way it plays. And to be honest, it's so much better than the T-62M1, because number one, you've got 5 degrees of gun depression over the 3 of the T-62M1. The M1 does have 520 alpha, with 427 pen as standard, which is nice, but it doesn't have that 500 pen premium round. And your ATGM pen on this vehicle is a lot lower than the 800 as well, or the 800 plus that the AM2B gets, with lower alpha as well, and it's a longer reload on those ATGMs, which is just a bit of pain. You got 4.8k DPM, which is about the same as well, though, as the AM2B, but we've had to help that out with vents and the advanced loader to be able to get that. And the gun stabilizer is equipped to this vehicle to get us to that accuracy during rotation and movement, which is very good, but we've had to help it out with the gun stabilizer and all 3 gun perks, as opposed to the AM2B, which we haven't had to do that to get it down to that level. And the aim time is also slightly worse than the AM2B as well, and for the same, we've helped that out even more with vents as well. And the mobility is worse. The armor works fairly similar, though, to the AM2B. So generally, the AM2B is the better of the vehicles, and like I say, you'll be getting this for essentially for free from the Season Pass. So what I'm going to do now is send you into the replays where you can watch the AM2B in action, see if it's a bit of you or not, see if you'll enjoy this vehicle at the end of the grind. for the Season Pass and, you know, see what kind of tank you'll be facing against in Era 2 as well, as these things will probably flood the matchmaker for a bit. So as always, everybody, I will see you in the replays. So here we are in the replays with the T-55AM2B, and we're on Desfall. And on Desfall, what I'm going to do is go to the middle section at F6, because it is a very important position on this map, as you can get shots across the whole map very easily, except for maybe that back corner about B2 and the corner at H89. But if anyone progresses out of both of those corners, you have easy shots into their sides as well. And what we're going to do with the T-55AM2B is start with a missile barrage, or just a missile salvo at the start of this game. Get those ATGMs flying straight out of this tank and try and hit for around that 1,000 mark, because that's what these ATGMs can do. And with 800 plus penetration on those ATGMs, what, 850 pen, is beautiful. It means you can pen most vehicles with them, which is delightful for the T-55AM2B. It's a good opening hit, and it can pump your damage up from the start very easily as well. And it can be a nice welcome package, you know. You've got that module damage on these ATGMs of 490. That can be beautiful for popping lids. And you never know, if one of those ATGMs hits an ammo rack, it is probably going to pop a lid, which is great. So we're looking for shots at something that might be towards their base. We see the turret just there, so we fire the ATGM, aim it a little bit lower. Oh, but it hits the ridge below, which is a sad, sad time. So I'm just keeping my eye on where that turret is. But we get spotted, and I don't want to be here if I'm going to get spotted, because you never know where an ATGM is going to fly from. So we're just looking back for that turret, and I just can't find it. I'm like, wait a minute. Where was it? Has he come back? Is he alive? Has he moved? I'm not 100% sure. I can't find it. There, I've just seen it. I have just seen it in this replay. I didn't see it when we were playing, though, so we missed it. So we're going to keep our eye on what is going elsewhere on in this battle. Yes, elsewhere on in this battle. Don't question my grammar. It's great, okay? English, it's hard. So what I should do is I'm making a mistake. I should shoot across the 6-7 line, because they are currently crossing it. That's easy pickings. But what I'm going to do is just double check, because there's still a lot of tanks unspotted. I'm just going to double check to see if there's any tanks camping at the back at G9, G0, but I can't see any. So we're just looking along, and we see Mr. what looks like a 4-ad in the background, who is AFK. So what we're going to do is get rid of that 4-ad. Why? Because, well, you need to get rid of AFK tanks, to be fair. Because if they come back alive, that could come to sting you. Mainly especially if you end up going after them and they are behind you and keeping you lit. You always want to get rid of the AFK tanks. But right now, we just need to get rid of him, because if he comes back alive and starts shooting at us, we're going to regret not just finishing him off when it was easy earlier on. But yeah, naturally, thank you for kill shot bouncing there. That was a great time, but we finish him off. So rolls 2.7k damage. We're looking for shots now into the Chieftain Hybrid 120, but we can't quite find the shots into the side of this guy's turret, and he drops a little bit too low there for us to get any extra damage in. So we switch to the ATGMs so that we can get those into these guys over here. And you can see this is what the reload is on this vehicle for the ATGMs after we've switched them without boosting our reload with food. It's around that 14.6 mark, but 14.6 for 980 alpha is pretty decent. So we're just waiting for the smoke to clear so that we can get this ATGM into them, but there's no point. We may as well fire at this TR-125, and we slam it home for 874, and then we're going to pull back, wait for the reload of the ATGMs. Hopefully they'll forget about us in the meantime, and we can poke back out and just throw another ATGM at them. So we end up seeing Mr. Sheridan there, and it's like, Mr. Sheridan, you're not getting away, son. Throw the ATGM in, pop his lid, and that's the new ammo rack animation right there. You can see it going off. That's quite spectacular, to be fair, as we pop Mr. ATGM's lid with the Sheridan. Oh, grammar's hard, okay. It is. We're going to pop the ATGM's lid with a Sheridan. Who doesn't do that? But yeah, we popped the Sheridan's lid with the ATGM, and sadly, he only had about 600 hit points. But we throw our last ATGM straight through the cupola of the FV4211, putting us up to 5.1k damage. And we're now just trying to pick off shots into the cupola of that FV4211, which can be a fairly awkward tank to shoot at. But we see the BZT-70 in the distance, put a shot into the side. He's now a one-shot as the Marder penned him a couple of times, and this is where the nicely quick reload is good for the AM2B as we shut down that Eastern Alliance heavy tank. So once again, going for the cupola of the 4211, we've got 0.23 accuracy on this AM2B with the build that we run, which is really accurate. But this gun is going to just decide that we don't need to hit some of these shots. We're trying to hit the drive wheel here so I can track the 4211, because you never know, we might be able to track and pen him as well. It might be better, to be fair, to just fire premium, but I really want to track him because I've got a medium tank with me. If I track him and make him stationary, it'll be easier for me to hit the cupola and pen it, but it will also be easier for my medium tank to pen him, and we'll get some assistance damage. So we aim for that cupola. 0.23 accuracy, people. What? How did that one miss that guy's cupola? Sure, fine. Thanks, RNG. Great. So we've loaded. We're going to load premium now because the 389 pen is just going to keep struggling against this guy with the shots we're trying to take. And with 500mm of penetration, we're not going to struggle with him. We probably should have loaded premium ages ago, as it would have made dealing with that 4211 fairly easy. But yeah, it is what it is. And we finished with victory because we ended up capping the 4 kills, 6,000 damage, the little bit of blocks, 135,000 silver, second class with that 1210 at base XP. Fairly average game for a T-55AM2B or for an Era 2 tank in general. And we're on to the second replay. And the second replay, we're here on Kaunas. And on Kaunas again, what I'm going to do is load the ATGM and be ready for anyone that tries to cross the A-B line, so that we can slam that ATGM home and do nearly 1,000 damage again. I always, like I say, I think that it is a nice way to start this tank and to start this game, or any game with this tank, is to know that you're going to go try and catch people out as they make a cross and do exactly as we just did there, where you slam it, the ATGM home, and do nearly 1,000 damage. So we end up taking a hit there from the tank that's next to the BMP-1, but we do end up slamming a shot into the BMP-1. Mr. Weasel 1MK is coming in, so we're just going to keep our front pointed to the Weasel 1MK, and he just could not get the shots into the tank. But we have ATGMs loaded, and we are too close to that Weasel 1MK, which means that we can't actually do the damage to him because he's within our minimum arming distance. Because that's the thing, as you saw, you get a big cross on your reticle, which means that you cannot fire and pen the ATGM and do full damage. So that Weasel 1MK ended up coming in behind us, penned us a couple of times in the rear though, which is sad for us. We also fired an ATGM at the BZT that was at the back, but unfortunately smoke was popped by someone else, and that meant we couldn't guide our ATGM anymore, and so we ended up missing it. There's a 4-ad at the back. We just see the BZT-70, so Mr. BZT-70 is going to start feeling the wrath of our DPM. We put one shot through the side, but we're still detected, which means there's something looking at us. So we just instantly pulled back, and I was going to make the move. I was going to make the move to go after the Type 74, but I saw that there was a possible chance of a shot at the BZT. We RBRT the shot into the Brennus there, which, again, this tank can be very, very good at because the accuracy during movement and rotation is fantastic. Go for the shot into the Weasel. That hit the floor, but sure. Hopefully get a tracking shot here. Oh, beautiful. Get tracked, you little pest. Get out of the game. As Mr. Vads comes running in and deletes the Weasel 1MK. We're up to 2,800 damage, 739 assistance. Waiting on the ATGM that I want to sling at this BZT-70 if I can, which is just what I want to do. We see Mr. Rickety Panzer. Can we find a shot at the BZT-70? But we can't quite find the turret roof because he is just below that ridgeline. So we're going to use the mobility of the AM2B. We're going to use that 64 km/h top speed, get ourselves in behind both the, I think it's a 4-ad or a Brennus, whichever one it was, one of the MX-30B2s anyway. Get up behind, yeah, Mr. Brennus here. Oh, can we get the ATGM in? Yes, we can for 927. Clutch ATGM there. Straight through the Brennus's buttocks, which is always a good time. And we're up to 3.7k damage with 739 assistance. We see Mr. T-80B. Now, I've got to hit the lower plate of that T-80B to do any damage. And then I thought, okay, I'll get up behind the BZ-T-70. I still see there's 2 heavy tanks, but then I'm looking at it going, there's 2 heavy tanks alive, but is the BZ-T dead? That's the BZ-T, wreck. So, clearly, he's dead. So, the T-80B becomes our next target. We want to put ourselves in a position to be able to get this ATGM in, as naturally we're going to hit harder with this ATGM than we will do with the APFS-DS. He drives out sideways in front of us, so we're just waiting for the shot. There we go. But unfortunately, we smash it into the floor as we just flinched it a little bit because I felt like there was a destructible cover between me and him, and the ATGM might just hit the destructible cover, and he loses his head to the ELC even SS-12. We see their SS-12 though. Oh, that was so close. That would have been beautiful, but sadly we missed the ELC even SS-12. But we've run out of ATGMs, so we're now on to the standard APFS-DS round. As this vehicle doesn't have that many ATGMs, it only has 6, so once you've used them, that's it. We got the Snap RBRT into the Bagel Panzer there to secure our first kill of this game, and we're up to 4.5k damage. There's 3 tanks left on the enemy team, and we know roundabouts where they are. They were towards our cap, and there we go. They get spotted in and around that area. There's the heavy tank, there's the medium tank, and there's the other. So we just need to use our mobility to get over there as quickly as possible and try our best just to get a little bit extra damage. So we see the Leopard 1A1, he's reversing into a spot, maybe we could get a shot, and we hit that on the move. The slimmest of shots into his tracks, penning him and tracking him, and feeding us all that lovely assistance damage. Get the shot into the low plate of the T-55AM, who we just bounced. Hopefully get the tracking shot as well, that'd be great. But unfortunately, he gets back round the corner before we can get that extra shot in. And we're just going to speed away, hope for the best. Hopefully, our team doesn't manage to get any shots into him while he's in the smoke. We fire the shot, we pen him, and he gets shut down. And we secure the game with the nearly 6k damage, 3,000 assistance damage from a lot of tracking. And that shot on the Leopard 1 is just this gun in a nutshell. You saw the shells, some of them that we missed anyway, on the FV421 in the last game. And then you saw the shell, that kind of shell, where you hit it. Some of the snapshots we've hit on the Bagel Panzer and the Brennis as well. You sit there going, how do you miss such simple shots, gun, but yet hit the most ridiculous of ones, right? It's a bit like that with this tank. So we're on to this third replay. And this third replay we're here on this map, which is El Alamein. And on El Alamein, what I am going to do is go across to J4, because I can sit on the ledge over there, try and shoot anyone that is sitting around their ledge at E45, or anyone that crosses the 1-2, or if they sit on the ridges at E1 as well. And if no one really does the 1-2, which sometimes can be hit and miss in Cold War, I can also just push straight down towards their cap, get to a good little ridge line like the hill at F3, because from the hill at F3, we can also get shots down towards our own base at 9-0. We can try and shoot anyone that might camp at BC5. It's just a generally nice location to take. So we've got the ATGMs in, ready to go instantly as always, so we can smash with these rounds. We see a heavy tank in the middle, it's a T80. So we're going to use this little ledge in front of us, pop over, go, hello friend, I have ATGMs. So we fire the ATGM, aim for the lower plate, and we end up tracking and penning the T80 there for 1,046. Which again is why we load the ATGM to start. The ATGMs are a great starter, and to be honest, I like firing all the ATGMs and then switching to the APFS-DS, but it really does depend on the map, and it depends on the fight as well. As naturally, if you're on a closer quarter map, you might only get one ATGM off and then have to go brawling with APFS-DS. So we're just going to poke over, see if we can get a shot into this medium tank, maybe the heavy tank down below. It's a T-72M1, so we fire the ATGM, get the gun depression just about, and slam it home, securing the kill on that guy for our first kill of the game. But we were detected. I'm like, no, I don't want to take an ATGM. Ooh, we see the ELC even SS-12 in the distance, so we're going to go for it. We fire the ATGM, lead it really well, and hit the ELC even SS-12 for 972. Payback, you little pest. How do you like ATGMs? Oh, that's what we'd like to see as we try to pest control at your service. So we're up to 2.8k damage. Fire the next ATGM at Mr. BZ-T70. Hit him again. We're up to nearly 4k damage, and we've fired 4 of our 6 ATGMs. Again, the ATGMs are very, very useful on this tank. They're a lot more useful than they are on certain other vehicles that get them, which just helps you have that early opening punch. So we see the 4211 aiming for that cupola. We hit the turret of the 4211, but sadly we didn't hit the cupola. We just hit the top of the turret roof, and that meant that we did no damage, which unfortunate at times, but it is what it is. We've got one left though, so this time we're going to go in and see if we can find it into the 4211 or someone else. So we've got the side of the 4211. I'm looking at these guys going, I don't think I can pen that, but we'll go for the back of the turret. And 992 into the back of Mr. 4211's turret. So we aim under the spaced armor there with the 389 pen, because if you aim under the spaced armor of a 4211, that's where you'll pen it. If we just shot him flat in the side where his spaced armor is, there's a likelihood that probably wouldn't have penned. We got an RBRT into the back of the 4211, which naturally, if we've got his ass, is what we want. Just trying to track and pen him now, though, so that we can keep him pinned, make it easy to pen. But we end up hitting under the spaced armor, but we didn't actually hit him in a spot where we could kill him. But there we go. We get the track and the pen there, and he gets shut down by the ELC SS-12. Again, going for the tracking shot, because it will feed us tracking assist, but also make it easier for taking this guy out. And there we go. We've tracked and penned the 4211, which means that we now get the assistance damage for the tracking there from the ATGM, and we can also keep him pinned and just finish off that annoying British Western Alliance heavy tank. Good night, Mr. Aluminium Chieftain. Not aluminum, people. It's aluminium, okay? Get it right. So we're up to 7.3k damage with 1601 assistance. One tank left on the enemy team. It's the bagel delivery system. And you know what? I kind of want some bagels right now. I'm hungry for bagels. So let's go see if we can get some. So we see the bagel, try and go for the slim shot into the turret. But while the bagel delivery system also got some bagels delivered to it. And so we end up finishing the game with the epic victory. Top of the team, 2 kills, 7.3k damage. Charlie the Unicorn carrying us to that victory with 1601 assistance, 154,000 silver. So if we're running the silver booster, we'll be making nearly 300k. The first class with that 1370 base XP. A pretty damn nice game there for Mr. T-55AM2B. And now we're moving on to our fourth and final replay of this video, and we're now on this map, which is Safe Haven. And on Safe Haven, once again, going for the ATGMs to start, because you never know, they could be quite useful. But I'm going to do something I don't normally do, and that is, I was feeling adventurous, you know, and this is one of the games we played on stream, as in fact, most of them were, to be fair. But yeah, this is one of the games that we played on stream, and I was like, you know what, I'm feeling adventurous. I'd normally go to the JK and fight down that line, or I'd normally go and sit in the middle on that little ledge on the right at D5. But adventurous me, let's go try and do something different. Let's spice it up, you know, variety is the spice of life. What keeps everything fresh. So we drive around here instead into this little hangar, because it's not where I'd normally go. Try and get an ATGM into the roof of the T80, but sadly we had to hit the cupola to do any damage, and it just did nothing. And there's now a Leopard 1A5. Hello, sir. Now, my ATGMs would kindly like to pen you, but he's playing coy and staying safe. The T80, just as we were going to go for that, crossed over, just as we were moving up, sod's law. But now the T10's moved up across the bridge. We're going to try and help this guy out if we can. We don't want to leave him alone. So if we can help this guy get rid of these dudes, then great times. So we fire the ATGM into the T80. We should have fired it a little bit more central there, because we could have possibly ammo-racked him, but yeah, there we go. We're on to 935 damage, and we're just trying to back off to not take any more hits. As there's a medium tank, and well, there's 2 medium tanks here which could try and get shots into us. We do bounce the VT2 off our turret though, which is nice, which again, this tank can do, because this tank does have decent armor. It's just not the best armor in the universe. It's not something that you want to sit there going, aha, I'm going to bounce everything off my armor, but you have the asset that you could. So I'm playing a bluff right now, and you can see the instant I got unspotted, I turn around, and that's because the other heavy tank also ran away. So it makes them think, possibly, we've just run. And they're going to overexpose themselves. And that's what happened. Mr. Leopard 1A5 went, oh, they're running away. So he came around and came out and gave us a free shot. And we put an 80GM straight through the side of his turret, putting us on to 1905 damage. We're going to go see if they're still around this corner now. It's a bit risky play, realistically, to try this again, because they might be expecting it. But the T80 is out in a position we can slam the 80GM home, and we shut him down for 650 alpha there. We're up to 2.5k damage with our first kill of this game. And now the T80B's pushed in very aggressively. We're going to go help out this T80B and try and slam an 80GM into the Leopard 1A5, who has 514 hit points, so we should be able to do it. But we're too close. We're only 16 meters away. And doink, that's what you hear when the 80GM hits inside of the minimum arming distance. We only did about 300 damage. And, yeah, very sad times. But the last 80GM of the pack as well ends up hitting the T-52AM2B and doing no damage. So we get a shot through the Type 80-2. I'm going to go try and help this T-80, but he's in a bit of a predicament. We ricochet off the side of a VT-2? Okay, game, whatever. We then bounce off our T-80B friend, which is a bit awkward. We bounce the shot from the Type 80, get a shot into the drive wheel there of the VT2, which tracks him in place. We really have to back off to try not to die. We're just trying to side scrape it out a bit. Put a shot straight through the Type 82's lower plate. If we can get some kills here and get guns out of the game, great. The VT2 is tunnel visioning the Type 80 very hard. Or the T-80, sorry, not Type 80, the T-80. We're keeping him retracked and penned. We did take a shot from that Type 80, though, which means we're now a one-shot for everything. And that guy is very clearly wanting us, as he was just running past the T-80B to try and get after us. But thankfully for me, the T-80B stopped him and finished him off. There's now only 5 tanks left on enemy team. We're up to 5k damage with 1,069 assistance damage. Giggity. And we are going to push up on top of this little ledge and see if there's any of their tanks camping at the back around the J9 area or somewhere along there, because there's some of the sneakies left. There's the ELCs, there's a light tank, there's a medium tank. We know where the medium tank was, or possibly is. I'm pretty sure. Well, we know where he is now. He's spotted at F0. The other tank was down at K34, actually got killed. So that means there's 2 tank destroyers knocking around somewhere that we have absolutely no idea where they are. We don't know where the light tank is. In fact, that's where the ELC even SS12 is. And we get spotted there by that 30B2 that was behind that rock. But we see the machine gun fire. So we get a shot towards the Marder A1. And it does track damage only because the shot went slightly to the left and he moved. And so we only tracked him. Anticipating that he maybe kept moving, but he doesn't, so we missed the shot. The 30B2 is being pressured by the BZT-70. Sadly, we miss it, though. He's clearly locked onto us and not the BZT. And we managed to end up finishing him off. I was like, oh, God, don't snap me, please. I don't want to get shut down at this point. So we're just looking for that Marder A1 again, trying to see if we can see him. Can't quite find him, but we got spotted, which means he is somewhere. And we're actually spotted by an ELC even SS12 that I just seen now. I saw him there while I was scanning, but clearly when I was playing, I didn't see him. And so I couldn't see him, but we do manage to get a shot into him while he was stationary. And now it's all about hitting these shots. He gets tracked and penned by an 80GM, trying to keep him retracked and penned, but it doesn't end up blowing his tracks off, which is annoying. But we get a shot in that once again tracks and pens him. He's now a one-shot. Pest control at your service. Get out the game, Mr. ELC even SS12. And there's 2 tanks left. The Marder and another ELC even SS12. So I'm just going to stay in my little pen. I like my little pen here. I'm protected from the side and rear. And I'm just trying to see if I can see any movement. In fact, there is the other SS12. Another pest detected. Let's see if we can get rid of it. So we get 1 shot into him, putting us up to 7,042 damage. He's playing very, very Orlo. We can't actually find the shot into him, but we get knocked down quite close by the Marder there. He could have quite easily finished us off. So we're staying safe and covered from the Marder, but he gets spotted out in the open. Oh, we don't quite poke out far enough for the RBRT, but we do secure the kill on Mr. Marder A1 for our 4th kill of this game, and the ELC even SS12 gets shut down. Bit of a bad shot on the Marder at the start, but then we managed to finish him off, which we'll take. So we finished with the victory, 4 kills, 7.7k damage, 1,100 assistance. The ace tanker, the high caliber, for that 1608 base XP. A pretty nice game again for the T-55AM2B, which is the tank that you can get from the level 100 on the Season Pass. Era 2 Eastern Alliance Cold War medium tank that will make you some decent credits, or silver, whichever word you want to go for. And it's a pretty damn balanced tank to pick out as well. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!